Before I introduce our next speaker, I'm going to give you a little bit of a bio on this gentleman. Commander Crake began his naval career by enlisting as a machinist mate in 1981. After completing nuclear propulsion training and a brief assignment as a staff instructor, he earned an NROTC scholarship and reported to the University of Michigan. There he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in physics and was commissioned in 1987. Commander Crake served aboard the USS Providence, SSN 719, and subsequently served as a Combat Systems Test and Evaluation Officer for the Los Angeles class and the Ohio class submarine program. After being selected into the Engineering Duty Officer community, Commander Drake attended the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where he earned a Naval Engineer's degree and a Master of Science in Ocean Engineering. In 1998, he reported at Puget Sound Naval Shipyard, where he completed 2 submarine docking availabilities, led planning efforts for the USS Alaska D5 missile conversion, and served as shipyard docking officer and submarine type desk officer. He subsequently served as an instructor at the Engineering Duty Officer School and managed a $4 billion budget at the Financial Management for Ship Depot Maintenance on the staff of the Commander U.S. Fleet Forces Command. In August of 2005, Commander Crake reported aboard the USS Emory S. Land AS-39, a repair officer, and today serves as the operations officer at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. And now I'd like to introduce to you our guest speaker, Commander Kurtis Crake of the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard.
Thank you, Mr. Small. I'll tell you, as I listened to that, it sounded a lot more impressive than I remember it as I was living it. I would like to thank all of you for the invitation to speak today. It's an honor to be here as a representative of the United States Navy, the Submarine Force, and Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, so that I may offer on behalf of all of us our heartfelt gratitude for the fallen veterans that we honor here tonight. Before I begin my remarks, I'd like to start with a brief anecdote. It turns out that as I've gotten older, I have become a bit of a student of history, probably 30 years too late for my elementary and high school teachers. But it turns out that one of the folks I find interesting in our history is President Calvin Coolidge. He had a reputation for being tight with a word, not wanting to waste any syllables conveying a message, and being not in favor of long and lofty speeches. That name earned him the nickname of Silent Cal. Silent Cal had a set of rules for public speakers called the 3 Bs. They were be prepared, be brief, and be seated. Those of you who didn't bring a chair or perhaps a coat will be happy to know that I am prepared, and I don't intend to disappoint President Coolidge on the other 2 counts either. Okay, so having said that, Memorial Day is a unique holiday here in our country. It's a day of remembrance. It's a day that we pause from traditional holiday celebration and honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the struggle to ensure our freedom. Originally called Decoration Day, it began officially in 1868 and served as an occasion for relatives and grateful citizens to decorate the graves of those who died in the service of their country. The tradition was born as a result of the Civil War, a time of great acrimony between fellow Americans. In the years that followed the end of the war, all Americans observed the day and were brought together again in a shared desire to honor their heroes. As the years have passed, so too has the gravity of this day. Too often, it is seen simply as a day off from work. It marks the beginning of summer, the end of another school year, or the opening of a local public pool. But today, we're at war, and the reality of young lives lost in battle is hitting home again across our nation. Some of us are still lucky enough to be able to mark this day in the abstract. Others gather across the nation to pay tribute and homage with specifics in mind, to honor and remember friends, family members, loved ones who have only recently died defending freedom and preserving peace. And so this holiday is suddenly no longer about picnics, barbecues, and a short work week. Once again, it's a special day to honor those we have lost. For those of us in the service now and for our families, this is a time of fairly intense emotion. Any one of us may have already experienced separations from our families and the intensity of a war zone, or may be called to do so on short notice. Experiences such as this can change you forever. I know the veterans and spouses here today will attest to that. In the end, the sacrifices made and the freedom preserved are worth it. As we so often hear, freedom has a price, and each generation pays its due. Today is our day to say thank you to those who foot the bill, to those who have paid the ultimate price with their lives. Certainly those who have given their lives in Afghanistan and Iraq are foremost in our minds, but let's not forget the others, those who were part of the original greatest generation of World War II, the heroes of the Korean War, the soldiers, sailors, and Marines who served so valiantly in Vietnam and the first Gulf War. Let's not forget to honor those who died in Somalia, Grenada, Beirut, and the other locations that have put America's sons and daughters in harm's way. In order to properly honor our heroes, we must ask ourselves, what do we need to do in their memories? What is our responsibility to them? They gave their lives. It certainly seems appropriate that we owe them more than one day in 365. In order to pay tribute to them, I submit that we must teach others about the sacrifices they made. Help other generations understand that, politics aside, the act of committing yourself to your country and being willing to fight for the freedom of your fellow citizens is among the most noble of endeavors. Secondly, each of us must find ways to ensure their legacy endures. We live in a soundbite culture where major events are only good for one news cycle and are too soon forgotten or replaced by another breaking story. These men and women are worth more than that. Their history deserves telling and retelling. Find a way in your life, at work, at home, wherever, to keep the memories alive. I think that's particularly important these days as the demographics of our nation change. During World War II, fully 12% of the American population was actually on duty serving in the armed forces. Today, that number is 1/3 of 1%. Less than 1 in 300 are serving today. The numbers will continue to change. As you look around, maybe this population is atypical, but 1 in 10 in our country have served in the armed forces. So when our ancestors, our families from that time were dealing with war, they were accustomed to loss. They understood what it meant. It's becoming less and less common across our country today. So finally, the last thing I would ask you to do to honor the memories of those who have fallen is to continue to gather here on this day and honor their memories. Treat Memorial Day with reverence and respect, and others will follow your lead. So many have given of themselves, so many families have been left behind, but instead of thinking of their absence with bitterness and hard hearts, we honor them. We hold up their service to the young people of today, and we use their memories as a way to illustrate the power of freedom, the preciousness of the rights we enjoy. I want to thank all those veterans and current service members here today. We appreciate your dedication to our country. Many of you have lost friends and relatives in combat, and by being here tonight, you are keeping their memory alive. As I struggled to find the words I wanted to share with you today, I came upon the words of President Kennedy, who said, "A nation reveals itself not only by the men it produces, but also by the men it honors, the men it remembers." Today, we honor not only men, but also women who have given their lives, and we honor them all equally. I thank you for the opportunity to speak here today, to show my respect and tribute to the fallen heroes of the many generations of Americans. We have witnessed again and again the powerful force of freedom and its determination to take root even where there seems to be no hope. It thrives because of the men and women we honor today. It grows because they lived and died knowing that freedom is the most precious gift we have. Thank you for listening to my thoughts and for taking time to come here tonight to honor those who have paid for our freedom. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.